Okay, hi everyone, we're going to get going. Welcome back after a few weeks off. Good to see you all. I like to see some people have their cameras turned on. It's nice to see your faces. So we're holding now, we're in the Breslov book club doing the Garden of Wisdom, which is the story of the Chochom and the Tam from Rabbi Nachman. And we're holding now on page in Rav Arush's book. We are on page, sorry, 1 second, 62. And so we finished last time. The main point that we finished with last time was this idea that the Chochom went out, he was looking to figure out what he's going to do with his life. So what did he do? He went to be mistovev bashuk, to just go and wander in the shuk, wander in the marketplace. And we saw this amazing idea that really this is a big challenge for us these days. It was always a challenge for everybody, but nowadays this concept of just wandering through the world looking for something that I want, looking for physical items, looking for material items, looking for wisdom, looking for all this stuff, with the internet, the way we have it, there's a lot of blessings that we can find on the internet and a lot of ability for good things, but we can get so lost and we can get so messed up and we can just be wandering for hours, days, weeks, months, and even years without any real purpose. It's amazing that the Chochom didn't look to wise people for advice. He didn't try to sit and figure out, what should I do? He just went and started window shopping in the world. This was the big mistake of last time. We're continuing with the story now. He's in the shuk, he's in the marketplace, and it says like this in the English. There he saw a large carriage with 4 harnessed horses that was traveling along. He spoke up and said to the tradesmen, "Where are you from?" They answered that they were from Warsaw, Varsha. "And where are you going?" "To Warsaw." He asked them, "Perhaps you need helpers." They saw that he was intelligent and energetic, so they liked him and they accepted him. He thus traveled with them and served them capably along the way. So we're going to start today's shir looking at what he saw. Rav Arush doesn't speak about this, so we'll skip Rav Arush for about 10-15 minutes, and we'll come back to him. But Rav Kivak, one of the differences in the method and the derech between Rav Arush and Rav Kivak is Rav Kivak is very often focused on words. He looks into Rabbi Nachman's words and darshans in them. So we found, for example, what was that one? There was a good one a couple times ago. I can't remember exactly what it was right now. It was, it was really geschmack. Something in the words, yeah. Okay, I can't remember. We'll try to remember for next time. But so the Rabbi Nachman chose very specific words, especially in this particular part, when he's talking about the wagon. And he says there's a wagon with a large carriage with 4 horses harnessed. So in the original Yiddish version of this, which is the way Rabbi Nachman wrote it, he said, "Hatte dazen a große Bricke." He saw a big wagon, a Bricke, mit 4 Pferd, with 4 horses, mit Chomatis. Chomatis is a big canopy over top of the wagon, right? So in the Yiddish version, it says he had a large wagon with 4 horses and a big canopy. The wagon is called a bricke, and the canopy is called a chomatis. Chomatis.
Sounds like the Wild Wild West.
Sounds like something like that.
Is that like what they call the greenhouses, chamama or something in Hebrew?
No idea. Never heard it. So like this, let's look a little deeper and see what we're trying to understand over here. So he says, here, this inyan of the chomatis, of this canopy, is showing us one of the beginning places of the downfall of the Chochom, about where his wisdom goes wrong, where he's looking for the wrong thing. So first of all, this word of chamatis is the gematria of the word shah, 375. And there's a concept of that's called mazel shah garim. Mazel shah garim. And it means that everything in the world is basically hashgacha pratis. Everything in the world is guided by Hashem. And there's a mazel. Mazel means the stars. Right? Let's have a quick lesson in Jewish astrology. Right? Anyone who's been around the block a few times knows that there is such a thing as astrological forces. And that in Judaism we believe very strongly that it's very clear that all the energies that Hashem puts into the world come through the entire universe. And all of the arrangements of the stars and the planets and how everything goes is somehow how all of the energy comes from Hashem, whatever this means, into the world and guides things. So we see in one of the earlier Torahs in Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman says, that's why you find in certain places that are connected to a certain type of mazel, only certain types of vegetation grow there. Certain types of animals are there. Why? Because the way Hashem created the universe, a certain energy comes into that place and allows it to exist in a unique way, different from another place. Right? So you come, even just in our country of Canada over here, in southern Ontario where we live, there's a lot of beauty, some special trees, right? A lot of white pine trees over here, amazing beautiful trees and different types of vegetation. But if you go west, out to the Rocky Mountains, you'll see a whole different type of nature. And you'll see these gigantic redwood trees, right? Huge cedar trees that are incredibly tall, Douglas fir, gigantic, amazing trees, right? Different places have different trees and different types of water flowing, and everything's different, right? Different people. Can you believe it? It's very interesting that look around the world and notice. It's really amazing, especially nowadays when there's so much what people call globalization of everything. Different people from different countries are totally different. Culture is so powerful, and different people from different places are. You ever meet a real Italian, like really from Italy?
Yeah.
Not an Italian American or Italian Canadian. They're so interesting, and they're like, they have a very sweet way of talking, and they just have certain gestures, and and everywhere you look, different people, you see they're totally different. And part of it is how the whole system works. So, Mazel Shah Garim, the Mazel and the time, the constellations, the whole universe, and the time that a person's in causes a certain unfolding of events in front of that person. But it's not nature. That's just the tools that Hashem uses to bring that energy into the world. And he guides us in this way, right? So the gematria of this word, chamatis, this canopy, right, is the same gematria as Shah, as hour, right? Referring to this idea. And what?
As hour, like Shah?
Shah, yeah, 375. And in addition to that, what's the Yiddish word that Rabbi Nachman uses for the wagon? Is the word bricke. Bricke, that's the word for wagon. It's Beis, Resh, Yud, Kuf, Ayin, which is the same exact letters as Be Rikia, in the heavens, in outer space, in the sky, right? So he looks at this wagon, which is the word for space, Rikia, and its canopy, which is the gematria of this concept of space and time, cause hashgacha pratis, is how Hashem leads us and guides us through our whole lives. He looks at this. This is what he sees. Right? Amazing, right? Yeah. And so he sees this, and it's a chuppah. It's a canopy, just like the canopy of the skies. And And the idea over here is that Hashem uses this whole system in order to, I'll read you the words that he uses here because it's funny, sort of. He says, Hanhagas Hateva, Hashem leichid chachamim ba'orma. Hashem kind of like traps, sort of, or the chachamim, these people who fancy themselves to be wise, kind of with sort of a trick, right? Afilu es hachacham hagadol. Hashem mesader kochavim berakia. Even for the greatest chacham in the world, Hashem sets up all of the stars in the sky. Amerkava hakadosha, b'mazal elyon, shedislabsha b'zeh olam, and the whole system, and it gives them the opportunity to be able to look like there's no such thing as Hashem. The nature is basically a layer of clothing over Hashgacha Pratis. Hashem made the whole universe in a way that if you choose to, you can choose to not see Hashem. Or you can look for Hashem and see Him very clearly. Right? And Hashem made it like this, that even for the greatest Chacham, but if you look closely, you can look up and see that I can't do anything. The whole universe is run by Hashem. Everything is Hashgacha Pratis. Everything is Yad Hashem. That's what we're seeing by this whole concept over here. Because it's crazy how this Chacham, he decided to just run out into the shuk. He's supposed to be a Chacham, a wise person. Let me ask you something, every one of you. If you today, if you need to go and let's say you need to make a big purchase, you need to go buy a car, right? So for most of us, probably it's something much smaller. So what are you going to do? Are you just going to go like, I'm just going to go out to a car dealership and pick one? I'm just going to go look at, I'm going to go to the Ford store over here or the Tesla store, whatever, depending on your level of income. And I'm going to say, I like that one, I'll take it. Right? You'd be a fool to do such a thing. What's a person going to do nowadays? You're going to do some research. What does the Consumer Report say? What has a good record of lasting long and not breaking down and all these things, and good gas mileage? Nowadays, we really need that, right? You're going to look at all these things and figure it out. And how are you going to do that? You're going to see what the experts say. That's what a wise person would do. This guy, who's supposed to be a chacham, he didn't consult any wise person on what he's going to do for the rest of his life. He just ran out into the shuk. Like there's no rhyme or reason to anything. Amazing. So he's always looking just to see what he can find. He's not interested in Hashem. He's not interested in help. He's just looking for whatever his eyes come across. V'hatam, but the tam, Yoedea ha'emes, lahar ois rak hashgachas Hashem b'chol davar b'olam. The tam is only looking to see the hashgacha of Hashem. He's only looking to see, how is Hashem guiding me? How is my life's purpose unfolding in front of my eyes? What does Hashem want me to do? What should I try to do to get closer to Hashem? Kol tsar v'kol Yeshua, whether it's a pain, a difficulty, a challenge that he's having, or it's an amazing, awesome success that he's having. He's always looking. Yesh mi shemanhig es habrika. Someone is driving the carriage. Someone is driving the rikia, the sky. Ves daladzusim, and the four sources. Loila hachmitz hamachshava beteva. So the other thing is the word chometis, which is the canopy, right? It has another word that it's very closely related to, and we're about to go into the time where we start searching our houses frantically through every crack and crevice to find it. What is it? Chometz, right? So it's the same idea, and in the deeper Torah, the idea of chametz is a crazy idea. It's physicality. It's inflated, right? It takes time and it starts to bubble up and rise up and inflate. It represents physicality, and it represents, in a certain sense, nature. If the Yad Hashem is spiritual, nature is physical, right? So it is physicality rising up. The dough rises up and bubbles up, right? And what do we see that Hashem did by Pesach? We see that he made these 10 makas happen, these 10 plagues happen, right? Why did he make 10 plagues? And why did he make them in all these funny places? Why didn't he just keep making things worse on just Paro himself? Right? Why didn't he lift him up 1,000 feet in the air, drop him back down, play basketball with him or something? I don't know. Whatever he could have done. Why didn't he do it? Why did he do it? So one of the deep ideas that we see is that Hashem took the river, the water, and turned it to blood. He took the ground, the earth, and turned it into lice, right, on the people. He got the frogs to go crazy. Then the flying, what's called locusts, and the beasts, and the hail, the rain, the fiery, snowy hail, whatever it was, right? Yeah. All these things that he did, he took every aspect of nature and showed it doesn't exist. Hashem showed, we think that Hashem showed, you know what, there's such a thing as nature, but I can make miracles, what's a miracle? When nature is subverted. I can change nature. That's what we think the miracles of Pesach were, right? But it's not really true. It's sort of true. Well, what's really true, and what Hashem really did, is he said, there's no such thing as nature. You think there's such a thing as nature? I'm going to show you. All that stuff, it's me. The river, it's me. The ground, it's me. Every animal, every bug, everything in the universe is me. And with one snap of my non-existent proverbial fingers, I can change anything. Because it's all me. Right? So this is what the Tam sees. The Tam looks around, and everywhere he looks, he sees Hashem. He sees Hashem leading him different places. He sees gifts from Hashem. He sees meeting people and amazing things happening, right? And someone whose eyes are open to Hashem, to Hashgacha Pratis, always sees these things. And they keep happening, right? Totally awesome. So that's Pesach. We see also by Purim, the same thing. We just saw this in the Biyam Darkecha from Rav Itchemeyer Morgenstern. He says by Purim, we see that all of these things that Haman was trying to do, right? He built this gallows that he was going to hang Mordechai on, right? He tried to get everyone to eat at this Suda with all the vessels of the Beis HaMikdash, so that we would ruin everything and we would never go back and build the Beis HaMikdash again. Right? He tried to make it so that all of the Jews would be killed on a certain day. And we see that there's more things. We see that Hashem made it, that in the Megillah, you see, everything that he tried to do, the exact opposite happened. Right? So he tried to make it so that the Beis HaMikdash would never be built. What happened? It's through the descendants of Esther and Mordechai. First they had a son called Daryavish, who had a son called Koresh, and Koresh is the one who went back and built the Beis HaMikdash. Right? You were trying to stop the Beis HaMikdash from being built. Through this, it is built. Right? You tried to have it that there was going to be one day when all the Jews would be wiped out. It turned around and flipped around, and all the Amalekites were wiped out on that one day. Right? You, Haman, built a gallows that you were going to hang Mordechai on. What happened? Our favorite character in the Megillah, Charvona, Zachar Latov, came and said, right when Achashverosh wanted to hang Haman, wanted to kill Haman, he said, oh, there's a gallows that Haman built for Mordechai, use that on him. And Haman himself was hung on the very gallows that he built to hang Mordechai. So we see, it's amazing, and we say by Purim, the whole thing is V'nahafachu, everything flipped around. And we want to say in our minds, you see, it's the same thing. That Hashem is powerful. And no matter what Haman plans, Hashem says, oh, you're going to do that? No, I'm not going to allow it. I'm going to change things and make a miracle so it doesn't happen. Right? We see the most amazing thing. It's the exact opposite. It's not the exact opposite. But it's just like this thing with Pesach. Hashem's telling us, you guys, come on. You thought that when Haman was building that gallows, that it was for Mordechai? You thought it was Haman doing that? No. The whole time, it was me, says Hashem. I was just using Haman to build that gallows that in the end, he's going to be hung on. Meaning, not that Hashem changes nature or stops nature from happening. It's all Hashem all the time. Everything. Right? So the Chochom is never looking at the world in this way. He's always looking, what can I do? What can I find? What's the next trick I can find? The next high that I can find, right? The next piece of wisdom I can find, right? He's looking at everything and seeing it as just the world. And the Tam is looking at everything and only seeing Hashem. Totally awesome. So where else do we see this? So he goes and he starts speaking to the merchants, the seicherim. So the word, this is one of the words that we use for merchant, is a seicher, a socher, a merchant. And we had this, by the way, back in Torah Zion in Likutei Moharan, in one of the stories of Rabbi Bar Chana, where he was with Hahu Taya, that Arab merchant in the desert. Remember? Okay. Anyway, and Rabbi Nachman said over there that the word socher comes from, is related to this certain pasuk that says the word sechor sechor, which means to go around in circles and to surround, right? And we know that the concept of being surrounded is related to the concept of emunah, because the pasuk says about emunah secha sviv. Your emunah surrounds you, right? On a simple level, it just means that someone with emunah is living in a world where he's surrounded by Hashem. He's surrounded by Hashgacha Pratis. He's surrounded by the hand of God. Right? So, what happened over here? The Chochom goes to these people and he runs right to the Socharim. Right to these people. Because that concept, that the word Socher is supposed to set lights off in our heads to Emunah. We're supposed to think Emunah when we see that. He didn't. What does that mean? It means attaching Hashem to everything that's happening to me, that everything that's unfolding in front of my eyes. He didn't look to Hashem. He looked to the merchant. He just wanted to see the merchant for the merchant. He didn't want to look and see Hashem, right? So he's blocking out Hashem. He's blocking out Hashgacha Pratis. He wants to find the merchant what he thinks is going to save his career, right? And so that's where he goes. Everybody with me on this? Am I going after my own wisdom, or am I looking for Hashem? And we have to say, we do have to use our own wisdom, of course. We have to be smart, right? But it's the way that we do it. Let's see what else is going to unfold now in this realm, and why is it negative? Well, how is he using his wisdom wrong? Let's see if we can figure it out, right? Because this is an awesome story. But we have to really try our best to distill the message that Rabbi Nachman is getting across. We have to really understand what's the difference between using my seichel and my wisdom properly, in the right way. Hashem gave us wisdom. We have to use it. It's not proper for someone who's very bright and smart to be shoveling concrete his whole life. Hashem gave him a gift. He should be using it. So how is he doing it wrong? That's what we have to figure out, right? So he asked them, where are you going, right? And they said, we're going to Warsaw. And this is where he begins to fall. So he asked them, maybe you need a worker, a servant. And they saw that he was a smart guy and he was excited to work. So they thought he was good. So they accepted him with them and they started traveling, and he served them well for that trip. So what happened over here? So let's go back to Rav Arush for a second. You can look on page 63 if you want to see this. He says it in some, Rabbi Brody says it in very nice words here. Look what has happened. This is a quote, page 63. Look what has happened to our celebrated clever one with his prodigious intellect. He became a tradesman's helper. Right? He became an assistant to a tradesman. He was looking at his buddy, the shoemaker, with disdain. That's what you're going to do your whole life? Not me. I'm a Chochom. I'm going out to the world. What does he do? He finds himself now an assistant to a tradesman. Why? He wanted to make his own decisions. Meanwhile, his simple friend is pursuing a simple but very respectable trade. So read in the next paragraph. Rabbi Nachman is scoffing at the clever one when he writes that he served them capably along the way. It's like tongue-in-cheek. This guy is brilliant, and he's now a tradesman's helper, and he says, and he served them capably, right? The clever one personifies those who want so-called freedom in life with no one telling them what to do, right? This is what he wants. This is his goal. This is what he's trying to do. Ultimately, they become slaves to many masters. Is this what they do with the marvelous gifts of intellectual prowess that Hashem bestows on them? Since they don't seek their true purpose in life and mission on earth, instead of aimlessly wandering around the world, their intellect goes to waste. Maybe at least they'll become good servants. This is the tongue-in-cheek. Maybe he can be a capable servant. But he's a genius. He shouldn't be wasting his intellect. And where does he find himself? Right? So I think about, I have a friend who's he would love me talking about him here. By the way, he's real Chochom. He's actually a very good version of the Chochom in this story. Welcome, guys. Welcome. And so he's a smart guy. He's a very, very, very smart person. But he can never get involved in anything because he's always looking for the solution to the world's problem in whatever he's dealing with. So, it's someone might say, you know what, we need to get more spiritual. We need to learn deep Torah, and we need to connect to Hashem in a deep way. Right? So what might a person do? They might say, you know what? I'm going to start. I'm going to start to learn, and I'm going to start to learn deep things. I'm going to simply, but I'm going to keep going, and it may not pay off right away, but I'm going to keep going deeper and deeper, and my knowledge is going to grow. Maybe I'll start to learn some Kabbalah, some Chassidus, and things are going to start clicking and firing, and I'm going to get deeper. Then maybe I'll start to daven a little better. Maybe I'll start to meditate, and then I'll start to get very, very, very deep, and I'll start to really get there. But I'll keep going and keep going. Why? Because if I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start doing it, and I'm gonna go step by step to achieve what I want to do. Another person, but the Chochom might say, no. We gotta figure out. We gotta set up a whole new institution, and that institution is gonna do this, and it's gonna get the meditation happening right away, and it's gonna teach all this, and and all the other systems in the world are wrong, and this school is wrong, and this school is wrong, and this rabbi is wrong, and this guru is wrong, and we're gonna have to make a whole new thing, an institution, right? This is how the Chochom thinks, and you know what the Chochom accomplishes? Absolutely nothing. Because he cannot just simply go forward and say, okay, that's all great, but Hashem put me here today. Hashem gave me my tools, my capabilities. I'm going to start, right? It's interesting. Someone. We were trying to get in the shul here. This is just a quick example. We were trying to, in the shul here on Thursday nights, we have a Beis Medrash program where just people could come learn. There's a few different groups. Someone's learning the Torah of the Alter Rebbe of Chabad, Torah Or. Someone's learning V'Shamar B'Yam Darkecha. Someone's learning Parsha Shir from Chassidish Svarim. Different things going on, right? I just learned on my own that night. And one of the guys is part of a group where they learn Daf Yomi every day. But they learn it very quick. They have like a shir they listen to. It takes them about half an hour, something like that a day. And there's a few of them. So I said to him, you know what? You should be the head guy who gets all those Daf Yomi guys to come together in Thursday night and sit with your headphones, listen to the shir, and learn together with everybody else. Right? You'll be the point guy and get them out, and it'll be very nice. He was very excited. Great. That's going to be awesome. Good idea, right? And so came the first time he tried to do it, and he was the only one who showed up. Second time, one other guy showed up, but it wasn't so good. And he was one of the words I like to use, he was crestfallen. Right? He was a little bit broken because it wasn't working. Right? Because it's not the vision that he saw, the greatness that he saw. So I told him that, everything that we have ever accomplished in our community and our shul, right? So we have here, particularly Friday night here, is a very, very exciting, like the place is totally full. There's no room to move. And it's very passionate davening and singing and loud and dancing. And it's like, it's amazing. It's fantastic, right? But when we first started, we sometimes didn't get a minyan. And it wasn't so exciting. But you know what we did? We said, you know what? We're going to do it. And we're just going to keep trying and keep going week after week, week after week. And we'll see what's going to happen. And by moving with that simplicity, what happened? We built up, and we built this amazing Friday night. And then, the Shabbos day grew very, very big. Every single shiur that I ever made in the shul, right? All the Shabbos shiurim, all the tonight, the Wednesday night, the Monday night thing, it all started off with like one or two people that wanted to learn something. We said, okay, let's do it. But what if there's not 20 people there? What if it's not amazing and it's full of people? What if we're not growing constantly? That's not really up to me, and that's not the purpose. Just let's start, and let's do what we can in our own Daled Amos, in our own space, and move forward. Right? This is the view of the Tam, as opposed to the view of the Chochom. Because the Chochom gets lost completely, right? So this is what he's doing. This is what he's doing. He ends up, because of this vision that he has of how things are supposed to be, he doesn't actually do anything and ends up being a servant to many people, and he's never happy because he can't just jump in and get to that place. So this is where he finds himself. That's the words of Rav Arush on the Chochom and what he does. Let's see a similar idea from Rav Kivak. He says like this. First, he becomes a servant. He starts doing hard labor for other people. This is like insanity. It doesn't make any sense for him. What did he find? What was he gaining over here? Listen to these words. The Chochom, the Tam, he started to work. He said, I'm going to start a trade. He becomes a shoemaker. And he has his house. And he has his business. He makes shoes. He has a comfortable, secure place to live. He could do mitzvahs. He could daven. He could study. He has his family, and everything is beautiful and simple. This guy, because of this passion that he has and this wisdom, quote unquote, that he has, he's out in the middle of nowhere. He's going from place to place, and he's working in manual labor. Still, he has no security, no menucha, no rest. No happiness. He's always traveling on the road with no house, no place of security. He's not settled. He's enslaved. He's not enslaved, but he's working for strange people that he doesn't know. He doesn't know if they're going to pay him or not. He doesn't know where he's going. Is this where he wants to be? But this is where he finds himself. It causes his mind to become crooked. And right? So what happens to him? He starts something. He starts working for these guys. And we're just going to see, they're going to get to Warsaw. And right away starts looking, okay, what can I find that's better than this? Right away. And he's looking around, and he goes and asks people, these guys that I'm with, what do you think? I should probably get away from them, right? And he's looking, and the next thing he's going to see, we'll speak about it, is he sees these clothing makers. Now they have these shops with beautiful clothing, and they're dressed super fancy, and they got their pointy shoes, and which was apparently some kind of style back then. I think it's still a style now. People have pointy shoes, men even also, I think, yeah, right. Anyway, they have these fancy clothes on, and he looks at them, and he's like, "Wow, now this is something out." Right? He's just going after his eyes, being like, never settling, never building, just trying to find the next thing. The opposite of the Tam. Right? Mamish. Whereas, if he would follow the path of the Tam, what did the Tam do? Tom said, I'm gonna try to see where is Hashem putting me. Where is Hashem putting me? Right? To be settled in a place, to find, the Tom did it over here, right? But very often you see that I've known a few people over the years who are like, that's it, I got to get out of Toronto. It's not working here. Hashem doesn't want me here because they're not being successful. They're not finding a shidduch. They're not finding a job. They're not finding this. It's not going right. It's time for me to move to Israel. You know how many people have moved to Israel? By the way, I promote strongly moving to Israel. I'm very pro making Aliyah, living in Israel. I would love to, as soon as possible, move to Israel myself. Right? But you know how many people have run away from something by doing the mitzvah of moving to Israel, and then they get to Israel and they realize that they have not they're facing the same problems because they haven't fixed anything, right? In other words, it's just settling oneself and saying, okay, what's the avodah that Hashem is putting in front of me? What's the work that Hashem wants me to do here, right now? I don't have to save the world. I don't have to save these people. I don't have to build an organization. Just what is Hashem putting in front of me right now in my own Dalet Amos, my own 4 cubits, right? This is what the Tam does. I wrote down in here. It came to my mind something we've said many times, that perfection is the enemy of progress, right? If I think that it has to be perfect, it has to be this big thing, right? And if I don't get that big thing, I'm not doing anything. I'm never going to do anything. I'll never do anything. You with me, guys? Yeah? On Zoom too? Crazy stuff, right? Okay, next point. Do we have a 7D in here? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, we're going to get into some good stuff over here. Where are we holding here time-wise? Okay, good. So also in Avodas Hashem, the same thing exists. A person can be happy. Listen to this. A person of Tamimus, is happy with the fact that, you know what? I got to learn tonight. We came together, we made a shir, we learned awesome stuff together. Good. Okay? What's going to be next week? You guys know, sometimes I don't know. Right? Are we going to finish it? You know what? If we don't take this and make it into a whole new book series or something, or we don't then what are we even doing? What's the point? You know what the point is? Right now. We're learning together. We should be happy. We get to go and, for a man, you get to pray in a minyan today? Good. Great. Amazing. Just be happy about that. It's fantastic. Right? You got to have a nice interaction with your spouse, with your children, with your parents. Amazing. Thank you. Very happy. Just be happy and enlivened by the good things that you're doing in your life. The little, simple, good things. Because you know what? If you keep doing little, simple, good things over and over again, things become amazing in a non-simple, huge way. Still simple, but amazing. Right? This is the derech of the Tam. But what about the Chochom? What does the Chochom do? Listen to these words. Chochom. He's never satisfied with simple things. He never has a sipuk. There's a better word than satisfaction for this. He doesn't feel settled, satiated, complete, something like that. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Umechapes hamshachas hamoichin lilmoid svarim. He's always looking only. I must only draw down the deepest wisdom into my mind. Right? I only want to have the highest to the high, the biggest Kabbalah, the biggest amazing wisdom. When he starts to do Avodas Hashem, it's only rak limtzoi havraka zmanis. Havraka zmanit. The best I can translate this, maybe Vered will have a better one, it's like a momentary enlightenment. Right? He's only looking for, I'm only going to learn Torah if it's going to mamish enlighten me. It's going to be like I don't want to say, but like a spiritual light goes off, and I feel like I'm drawn up to the highest worlds. If that's not what I'm learning, then it's stupid. It's not for me. It's nothing. We have a custom over here when we have a Mincha and Mariv minyan, we say literally for 2 minutes a simple halacha, a little word in Jewish law. In here in this shul, we like to say deep Torah a lot, right? Talk about deep things and daven with power and like really connect, right? But you know what else we do? We learn simple, small things every single day. And it's pshitus and tamimus, and it's what Hashem wants. That we do our part in all the different levels. But this guy, he's got to have the spiritual lights have to be blinding. He's always saying he has one level of wisdom, of deep understanding. He's like, okay, enough already. What's next? Where's the next higher wisdom? Right? There's a certain aspect of that. You see what I'm saying? There's a certain aspect of that that's good. I want to keep moving. I want to attain deeper wisdom. It's great. But it has to be in the way of tamimus. It has to be in the way of I'm doing what I know Hashem has given me the ability to do, and I'm moving step by step. And I'm not leaving the simple things behind and saying they're beneath me. From the beginning, this was Rebbe Kivak's thing, that he said the worst thing that the Chochom does is he says that simple things are beneath me. Simple things are the best. They're the grounding. They're the thing that hold us strong. And we need to have them. So he's always looking for something like this. Yeah? So he's never happy. The Chochom is never happy. Never happy where he is. He's never happy where he is. And if we're not happy where we are, at least for that time, we're not actually there. Right? We spoke about this the other night at the Bayit when we did the Kumzitz. Right? This idea that the Baal Shem Tov says that makom she I can't remember the exact words. Makom she machshava shel adam oimed sham kol ha'adam. Wherever a person's thoughts are, the entire person. That's the entire person's existence. Right? So if I'm never happy where I am, we have two problems with this. First of all, I'm just never happy, which is the worst. We'll never grow if we're never happy. And the second problem is I don't actually exist because I'm only thinking about something in the future that I haven't got yet. That means I'm not here. I don't even really exist in the world. I'm not here. I'm not focused on here. So there's a beautiful thing in the world people say nowadays, in talks of mindfulness. I'm saying nothing to do with Judaism. Well, not directly anyway. That the importance of being present and living in the present moment and interacting with my present existence, right? It's very smart and it's very important because that's when I'm actually existing. If my mind is off somewhere, I'm living in a different universe. I'm not even here, and that's what he's doing. It's particularly important it's important always, but in interactions with our friends and our family, right? Like we can't live this life where everyone's sitting around the same table with their thumbs moving like this. Some people use their fingers, but whether you're a thumb or a finger person, right? We can't all be sitting in the same place, right? I saw a group of teenagers. They're all sitting together on the same bench. Like, I don't know why they're together. They're not talking. They're just, everyone's on the same thing, and they're on their phone and they're doing this. You know what? Nobody is there. Nobody is in that moment existing right there. They're in some kind of weird world of the Satan. I don't know what it's called. And family. Oh my gosh. Right? Having a meal together with your family, talking together with your family. Right? Being present. My wife does not let me for years. Sometimes I have a lot on my mind. I'm thinking about something. I'm not paying attention. She does not let me get away with it. No chance, right? We have to be we have to give that person respect enough to be there at that moment with them and interact with them, right? It's very simple, and it brings tremendous joy to both people when we really do that. Okay, so that's one issue. Let's move on now, okay, we're going to go back into a word again from Rav Kivak. So where'd they go to? Did anyone wonder why Rabbi Nachman said in the story that the place they went to is Warsaw? Yeah? Why Warsaw? I mean, Warsaw was a big city, right? That's probably the simple meaning. But the word Varsha, the word Warsaw, Varsha. So the word Var in Yiddish means true. Var, and Varsha is a combination of the words like Varshain, which means like this. I'm going to read the words in Hebrew because it's hard to explain. Shoresh tevas Varsha, hu miloshen Varshain, which is hoichachas davar barer. It's the proving the proving of something clearly and truly, right? Emes and var. It's a Yiddish phrase. It's emes and var means it's true and true all the way through, right? Ki Chochom nos nisa midarchei hatmimus. He goes off the path of tmimus, of simplicity, of perfection. V'nichnas lechapes hoichachos vikuchim. So I'm making up a new word over here, a new type of existence, which is called argumentative wisdom. Argumentative wisdom. So what does he do? Okay. So how many people here have been in a yeshiva before? Or seen a yeshiva? Anything? Yeah? Okay. So if you see in a yeshiva, the way of learning in a yeshiva appears to be very argumentative and spirited and sometimes yelling. People are yelling at each other, right? But it's great. It's min hashamayim. It's not min hashamayim. Sorry, it's l'shem shamayim. It's on purpose and it's fantastic. And this is the way that we learn. And we fight and we argue, but in this process we're looking for absolute truth. We're just l'shem shamayim. We only want the truth to come out, right? And it's never mean. It's never right. It's a spirited way of arguing, right? So if you imagine you take that type of discussion out of that place, and you walk through the world, and everyone you meet, you treat in that way, right? So I remember once, I don't remember who it was. Someone, it was a coworker or something, was listening to me talk to someone, like a Jewish person, about a certain aspect of halacha, and this person said to me, they were like, "Oh my gosh, why were you yelling at that person?" I was like, "What do you mean? I wasn't yelling at the person." She's like, and she said, "If you yelled at me like that, I think I would cry." And I was like, "What? Yelling? This is we're learning halacha. We're talking, right? It's just normal." But if you took that, right, and it's fantastic, and it's l'shem shamayim, it's holy, and it's in the right way. It's b'darchei tmimus. It's in the way of the tam. But imagine you took that mindset and made it not about trying to uncover the truth in learning Talmud, but you took that way of thinking, going through the world only to prove that I'm right with everything. Every interaction that I have is a argumentative battle to show my wisdom and my intellect. Right? Definitely. So you'd be going through the world, and everyone you would meet, you'd be having these battles with, you'd be arguing and fighting, right? And you'd be challenging people constantly about what they're doing and what they're believing, right? You'd be living in this world of argumentative wisdom. It's a terrible place to be. So one of the best examples that I heard about this is Rabbi Moshe Weinberger was telling a story, or a situation about a married couple that was having some difficulties in their marriage, and it wasn't the wife's fault. The husband was like, whatever they were arguing about, I don't remember. I don't know if he said what the issue was, but the husband thought his wife was wrong in whatever she was doing, and she was trying to do what she does, but the husband was like, no, you're wrong. And he would argue with her and fight with her to the point where he was able to say an argument and she wasn't able to answer him. And he's like, see, you can't answer me. You got nothing to say. See, I'm right. Right? He's treating his wife like she's an opponent in an argument where he has to win. He's treating her like she's a discussion in a Gemara that we have to battle out, and the objective is for me to say, see, you can't answer me back. That's good when you're trying to learn Gemara and you're trying to come to the truth, and you're both on the same page. But to your wife, you're going to try and beat her down intellectually to a place where she can't answer you anymore, and now you win? Like, couldn't get worse. Couldn't get worse to have a relationship like this. You know, people say there's such a thing as emotional or intellectual abuse. That would be it. Right? So can you imagine living in such a way? This is the way the Chochom lives and goes through his life like this. This is meant for certain situations, this type of power, when it's from the right place, from a lev tov, a good heart, l'shem shemayim, and both people are on the same page. But to walk through the world like this, it's going to be the most depressing existence, and everyone's going to hate this guy, right? You know the picture I put on the flyer for this class? Everyone hates that guy for sure. You look at him, you don't want to be anywhere near that guy. He's not the type of guy I want to be around. So v'chein b'avodas Hashem, so too b'avodas Hashem, in avodas Hashem. Yesh choker kol yamav lahavin darchei havoda. He's searching all his life to try and find these ways of avoda. Ad shebegnusay moitzi eich avru shanim al klum. He comes to the end of his life and he realizes, I was always looking. I always like to use the word enlightenment because I was always looking for the top. I was always looking to do something different and better than everyone else in my avodas Hashem. And at the end of my life, not only did I not get that, but I didn't do all of those simple, beautiful things I could have done along the way. He missed everything. He missed everything. Mashen kain, derech hatam, liras b'chol eis, eich achsha. The tam sees at every moment, eich achshav lasos mashu shalem l'chavod Hashem. How at every moment I can do something good for the honor of Hashem. Right? Remember a few classes ago, this was one of our statements? Do something good now. At any moment, at any point in our lives, we can say this statement, do something good now. There's always something good to do. Simple and good. And it's life-changing when we spend our time doing little good things. Because if we don't do that, where are we going to be? Anybody want to say where they find themselves when they don't try to do good things? Probably no one wants to say because it's embarrassing. Where we end up when we don't just try to do good things, and we end up on this website and on this thing and going to these places, and who knows? Just do good things. Yeah. Oopsies. Lori got cast out of the group. Okay, you with me, guys? Yeah? So let's go on to 70. Where's E? Okay. So what does he do? He goes to Varsha. So he goes to Varsha, and he starts to ask people over there. He says to himself, now that I'm in Varsha, why should I continue to be connected to these people? Maybe there's something better for me out there. Listen to this. This is the next statement, next point. This is a point that hits everybody, every single one of us. Mi oimer shezeh toiv bishvili. Who said that this is good for me? Maybe I'm not the person who's supposed to be here. Everything in my life. I'm not. Maybe this is not the house that I should have. Maybe I'm not happy in this house that I'm in. He goes off of the simple existence, the simple understanding, the tamimus, that where Hashem put me is where I'm supposed to be. There's such a thing as a person. In the next statement, he says also. So he says, I'm going to go out to the shuk again, and I'm going to look around the marketplace and see who else is around here. What else can I do? If there's something better than these people I'm working for now, and so the people said to them, these guys are nice guys you're working for, and it's good to be with them, but the work is very hard, right? So he says, Ki yesh b'chol inyan ba'olam ma'ila v'chisoron. This is so important. Every single thing in the universe, has a maila and a chisaron. That means a pro and a con, a positive and a negative. V'chochom miroiv hatayvos liyos noseo metayel lo shat liboy lechisaron sheyesh b'zeh. He cannot take his mind off of the negativity of where he is, because he's always looking for what else there could be. This is something that we could always, if we had like a string around our finger to remind us something, look for the good. Look for the good. Look for positive. In every point in our lives, there's going to be good things and bad things. We've said this before, have you ever known a person who is always drawn to and focusing on and talking about the negative? No matter where they are, they just cannot ever be happy. Right? I know a number of people like this, and some of them I'm close to, and it's hard. It's very difficult to be around someone like this, but Hashem put us with them. We got to do our best, right? But it takes effort for all of us, for those people in particular, but to know that this is not what Hashem wants. Wherever we are, let's look for the good, look for the positive. And as we're going to see, when the Chochom moves on to a new group, he starts already speaking bad about the people he was with and seeing the negative of where he was. It's not helpful. It pulls you down into depression, sadness, anger, negativity all the time. It doesn't mean everything's always perfect and we should just stay in the same place forever, right? But we need to appreciate where we are. We need to look for the good where we are, always, even if it's not the best place for us. And then from that place of being grounded and positive and happy where we are, I can move on to the next stage without speaking negatively about what was there before, without being drawn to that negativity. I can move on with positivity, right? It's an amazing attribute. We can choose to focus on the negative or focus on the positive. Remember, Rabbi Nachman says this in many, many different ways, but the most important one is the Torah of Zamra that we always try to bring up, that we have to always look in every person we meet, only look for their good points. And more importantly, in ourselves, only look for our good points. Don't we have to see what we're doing wrong and fix it? Yes. But we do that for a short time. We look, we say, where am I messing up? What are my challenges? What are my difficulties? Do that for 15 minutes, half an hour. And then from there, be like, but you know what? I'm really good at this. I have a lot of love for this. I like to learn. I like to have friends. I like to connect. I like whatever it is. And move forward and jump onto those things. And start, once again, to do good things with the good abilities that I have. Move into the positivity. The Chochom, once again, he's never happy where he is. He only sees the negative of where he is. And that thing that he's looking for, he never finds. He never finds it. So what happens? His whole life, he's looking for something that he never finds, and at the same time, only seeing the negative. He's living his entire life of negativity and never being satisfied and never being happy. This is the way of the Chochom. So let's not do that. I think maybe that's a good place to hold it. We'll open it up for questions, comments. We got Yaakov is first.
What is the English words for Chochom and Tam, please?
Let's say.
Or are there any?
Yeah, no, there are. Chochom and Tam is pretty. There's a simple translation. And I think Rabbi Brody does a good job. Is the sophisticate and the simpleton.
Okay.
Sophisticate and simpleton. Right? Does he say that? Clever. Right? Now, those are good translations. But as we see, as we go through this whole story with all these deep ideas, we see that to be the it's okay to be smart and clever and to have some type of sophistication. Right? But we're seeing that there's a much bigger picture. And simple, once again, like we said at the beginning, simple does not mean stupid. right? It means, and the word is tamimus, which is the word we're trying to translate. I'll tell you something. I posted this on the group a little while ago. I'm working on, as we go through this, trying to find a way to explain what the word tamimus means. Right? It's taking a long time, and we're going to keep going. What I have so far is pure, humble satisfaction and happiness through everyday deeds and actions. Tamimus. There's a lot of words. We got to nail them down. Yeah.
So I have a question. So how can you be such a chacham and not see the greatness of Hashem, and when the Tam can see it, and what do you do to bring him to that level of the Tam,
Yeah. Yep. So it's a great question, and I think we're going to see as we go. But the main affliction of the Chacham, of course, is gaiva, is ego, right? And it's because of this of this ego, which is a deep idea. We've discussed it in various different ways. The concept of ego, which we won't get into right now so much, but because of ego, a person with strong ego, the Gemara says that Hashem says about a person who's a bal gaiva, who has an ego. He says, "Ein ani ve'ata yachol ladur." We cannot both exist at the same time, right? Yeah. And so, if someone has ego like that, he can't be connected to Hashem. He can't see Hashem. He can't do it. Everything is me, right? So this is going to be what we're going to see as one of the main sources of the problems of the Chacham, and why he is like he is. And it's a deep avoida. It's a deep struggle and a deep type of work to free oneself from ego. But Hashem gives us a lot of help, because someone who has a lot of ego, Hashem's going to smack him really hard over and over again, and break him down and break him down and break him down. And such a person has to be willing to open their eyes and see. And we're going to see, certainly in Rav Arush's book, one of the main keys that's going to be there to help this person through this difficult time. And listen, we love the Chacham. We want him to be successful also. We want him to get out of where he is, right? We don't hate the Chacham. It's not like it's a battle against the Chacham and the Tam. We would want that the Chacham would do tshuva and would become close to Hashem, would become a Tam, right? But is this idea of hispoidus, of personal connection, personal prayer, personal connection, personal contemplation, that individual connection to Hashem, talking to Hashem, is going to be the key to the Chacham getting out of his predicament, and this lifestyle, this way of thinking. Okay, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Everybody have an awesome week. Great to see you all, and we'll be on this week, Mirz Hashem, for the Wednesday class as well. So we'll see the Wednesday people there as well. Have a great week. Bye, guys.